Okay, recording.
All right.
We aware now, please?
The line begins with the word Mitziusoi, which is the fourth line after the little Kufyut Gimel on the side.
4 line after the AYIN.
Down
And
here.
the point
Yeah, yeah.
that we're talking about is the principle of Yesh Mei Ayin. Yesh Mei Ayin is a totally novel concept. There is no precedent, there is no source for it. It is not something that evolves from a source. But Yesh Mei Ayin, it comes to be from without a source. Right. That is why we say Yesh Mei Ayin is exclusively in the privy of the Creator Himself. No other entity in the entire arsenal of creatures, of beings, can create Yesh Mei Ayin. Because in order to create Yesh Mei Ayin, the Creator Himself has to have a presence of Ayin. Not created entity. This is what the Rambam expresses in very simple, so to speak, Nigla terms. Yes, Shom Motzur Rishon, a first being. A first being cannot possibly be explained what it represents, how did it materialize to be. Because it's a first being. The truth is, the principle in this is, motivation, the principle of motivation is not merely the fact that he is the first. The principle of motivation is that there is a presence that needs not to be brought forth. Why not? Every presence has to be brought forth.
It does not need to be.
Be brought forth. It's a presence that does not need to be. We start delving into that thought. It's a presence which does not need to be brought forth. What needs to be brought forth? That which has a limited presence. It could be not present. Well, there is a presence that does not need to be brought forth. It's impossible for us to really fully understand it. It's impossible. It's a rabbit hole. It simply means this, that there is a presence to say that it could not be is a very poor way of expressing it. It's a must be, and a must be does not mean be. It's a fundamental reality. Fundamental reality has in it this presence. This presence is at the level of fundamental reality. In other words, if we put it in our terms, we in our mind perceive that unless something is created, there is nothing here. The real truth is that without anything being created, there is something here. But this something is not a something that can be identified. It's a reality itself. And this reality is there without being created. This reality is prior to any creation. What we call non-entity doesn't exist. that which exists before creation, that is what exists before creation. The question that we have to ask ourselves, it's a point-blank question, and our soul provides the answer. What is the fundamental truth? Yes or no? Non-existence or existence?
Say that again.
Non-existence.
What?
Oh.
Could you repeat that question?
I'll try. What's the fundamental truth? Non-existence or existence?
Existence.
Presence or non-presence? Yes or no?
Yes.
Day or night? What's the fundamental truth? We have an interesting, it is a very, very deep and subtle question, but it's embedded in our soul. This is where we have to, so to speak, revert back to the principle of life itself. Is life real, or is life a show of force? I wanted to say, because these things it's true, it is beyond our seichel, but we have in our own experience that which defies worldly reality. And we immediately see that no, we live in a super worldly reality. Where do we see that? The first day of creation, it says it was choshech, was dark. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And subsequently, as the Gemara says, this light was retracted, not to define, so to speak, the worldly limits, and then reintroduced via the sun. And all that the sun did, it didn't change the light per se. It changed that the light now, we can attribute it to a source, which is more in line with worldly structure. But light, day is not a worldly principle. Because from a worldly perspective, night, darkness is what is real. That's how the world was created, but it was dark. Daylight, which defies darkness. Daylight negates completely the whole concept of darkness. Daylight is not a light, a beam of light. Daylight, it encompasses the entire reality. And we relatively relate to it. We live with it. We're not perplexed by it. The reason we are not perplexed by it, the reason we accept it wholeheartedly and we wait forward every morning for daylight is that we ourselves live with a reality that is not worldly. When we say daylight, it makes perfect good sense to us. Not from a worldly perspective, we cannot explain what it is, but it makes perfect good sense. Because the reality is day. Because the divine presence, which is the reality, the divine presence is day, encompasses everything and brings life and sense to everything. So although on the worldly level, there's day and night, and there are different periods, and it has to be initiated and so forth, but in truth reality, the real source of sources light, day is the reality. Presence is the reality. The reason that we have non-presence is in order that we should have a world. Because world, in order to be a world, it has to be dark and light. It has to be within worldly context. Divine presence does away with world. In order that there be world, that's what we saw with Jesus it says, that what Simtu, and the divine presence has been retracted, almost to the extent of being not discernible, and became dark. And now begins a new process, a new reality. That's called creation. But this yes, sir. Yeah, we.
I understand the concept of superworldly, superworldly, and the idea of intangible source. But I was just thinking that we are trying to define or to describe this reality we're talking about with words. And I wanted to know if we can associate the idea of silence.
What?
The idea of silence.
Silence.
Silence. With the idea of day. Is it comprehensible?
Silence is night.
Silence is night?
Silence is night.
So the truth of this world is that everything reverts to nothingness. Truth of reality is that everything reverts to the real presence.
Right. Because this world is a creation from nothingness. So we shall go back to its source, it will be nothing. From its own source. This is why we say that the world persists in being, because there's a divine will, presence, to maintain its presence. The whole phenomenon of the world persists from moment to moment, from day to day, from year to year, is a divine miracle, right in front of our own eyes.
Right, and if he showed more of that miracle, of that abundance, then world would be overwhelmed. Is that the problem?
If he showed, I don't know exactly what.
We used the example of daylight.
If the world would recognize its source, it would be no world. I can quote directly from Tanya. Ilu nitu nushus li'ayin virois.
Right.
So then we would not see world at all. Hoi metzias hayesh ni'edim to come.
Right.
But we're trying to recognize the source.
It's not to recognize it, not to recognize it, not to recognize the truth of it, not its. We cannot recognize its reality itself, because there's no way that we can understand it. We say that the real truth is beyond our understanding. Not to recognize it, this is silly.
So we are revealing that which overwhelms the world.
We're revealing, we're giving cognizance, we're not revealing it itself. We recognize that there is something that really the world is buttressed by something which is beyond our understanding.
Right, and we're also saying that is the real human stance or perception. That's the correct human orientation.
In the sense that the human being, that's true. But this we need to put in perspective. It means that the human being serves the purposes of this non-entity. We spoke about yesterday. The human being seeks to be pure. Purity and world are not partners. World cannot be pure. If you want to have a clean dish, The only way you can have one is if you wash it. You let it stand for 2 days, you have to wash it over again.
And purity goes beyond cleanliness as well.
Yeah, I'm just giving a very simple explanation.
Well, how could we speak of non-entity and relate it to source?
The answer is that when we speak of non-entity as a source, then you will be recognizing that this source initiates its presence to us. We don't find it. Not something that we find and discover. It initiates. And when we open our eyes, when you wake up, somebody wakes you up, and you woke up. Do you recognize that somebody woke you? Yeah. This is what we recognize. David HaMelech says, Vayiro Shochar, I wake the morning, I arise the morning. What does that mean? Every one of us wake up to the morning. With I arouse the morning. When we wake up and we see morning, yes, we see morning, but immediately we recognize this morning has been presented to us by something which is higher than morning. The creator of the world presents us this morning. David HaMelech says, I wake up in the morning. I recognize the creator before I get the morning. So I wake in the morning and say, hey, you're supposed to be here. Where are you?
Model. So this is the model, right? This is the model in Afanecha.
Well,
A recognition of something higher.
What him saying I wake the dawn is saying I recognize the creator before he
dawn. Before I have any signs of his presence.
I didn't understand the answer to Daniel's question, how we can relate what was answered, how we can relate to an intangible source. I didn't understand that.
We do not relate to an intangible source by identifying what it is, but by recognizing that that is what provides to us everything.
Well, intangible means you cannot relate. It's the definition of intangible. But there is this entity, that the creator, which is beyond our understanding and our grasping, that creates everything.
All right, we can stay on this like everything else. We can stay on this indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, again, we are 4 lines from the little Kufiyat Gimel. And the line begins with Mitziyuse. And before that, it's an end of a sentence that says that before the world was created, before this Mitzias was created, Chadesh, there was non-entity. Therefore, when it's Chadesh, it's called Ischachos, a novel presence. It is not a developed presence, it's a novel presence. For this reason, it is called Yesh Mayayin, Dover Miloi Dover. Something from non-something. This Dover Miloi Dover is enabling us to relate to the principle of Yesh V'Yayin a little bit closer to home. Because Yesh V'Yayin is the truth, but we have no visual means to relate Yesh V'Yayin. The Rebbe wants that we should be able to relate to it. He puts it Dover Milei Dover. What's Dover Milei Dover? Let's take anything that we use in our experience. Commonly, we talk about a table, and table consists of various parts, components. These parts pre-exist the table, so to speak. What are these parts representing before it was put together into a table? Before it was put together in a table, it's called Loi Dover. They're intangible entities, but they don't represent anything. They don't stand for anything. When these parts are put together and becomes an identifiable, an entity that you can name, namely a table, then becomes a dover. And this dover comes milei dover. Now, when a human being takes little parts and puts them together in the form of a table, where did this table materialize from? Did the table materialize from the part from which it was built? Or was it another source for it? If a person had never thought of a table and never saw a table, and he saw parts, would he then play arbitrage the parts until he makes a table? No. It would never happen. Therefore, where does the dover come from? Where does the whole idea of a table come from? Clearly does not come from its components. It's a novel creation from the human soul, human spirit. They say all the time, a table represents human dignity. A table represents the principle that his presence in the world has a mark. When I sit, there is a marker where I'm sitting. And I'm being accommodated by the whole world for the things that are meaningful to me as I'm sitting. If I'm sitting, I have to have a book in front of me. I have to have a cup in front of me. I have to have people around me. I'm not sitting in nothingness. The table represents the marker that there is a real presence.
Again, the table is not a composite. It is an indicator of a real presence. That's up.
Yes, but this real presence is created by the real presence of the human being, not from the components that it's made.
Couldn't we say sometimes that the table is a representation of human dignity, of you can't just have eating on your lap or holding a sefer on your lap. It has to be something to serve you. That's the same thing?
We just said it.
I said it before.
So the קודם שנית לא היה מציאות כלל. This is going on. Are we illustrating this? I'm just trying to correlate to what it's happening.
Yes,
that is what we're dealing with. Yes. Because world itself would never have produced a table. So it is in a worldly platform. It is a yesh me'ayin. Is that
right. That's what we're yesh me'ayin.
Okay.
Yesh me'ayin. And the Rebbe says, bringing it closer to our seichel, dover milei dover. Something from a non-something. What is a something mean? A something means something that has a presence, that deserves a name, that can be identified by a single word. And all the components that go into it are automatically fall into place from this single word. This is a dover.
And you're saying that the parts that are lying there on the ground, that's not the low dover.
That's what dover.
That's the low dover. I thought the low dover is the conception that somehow occurred to him before he started to make it. The parts would be dover and the dover.
No. Dover miloi dover.
Thing from nothing.
Think about the motion.
So I'm saying that in the motion,
Yeah.
who would take these shards and put together a table?
The
The
first
table does not materialize in one's mind because he sees its parts.
Right.
So in other words, this table comes right over. And he initiated the whole concept.
If it would come from the parts themselves, then it would be dover miloi dover. But it doesn't.
Why are we calling the parts light dover?
No, we're not.
We're not. We finished that.
The parts are not the low
Okay.
dover.
Okay.
This is the
It's called
Rebbe's
the birthday for Ren.
oversimplifying the meaning of Yesh Me'ayin. Coming down to our level, it says Dover Milei Dover. Yesh Me'ayin has a much higher and deeper implication. But Dover Milei Dover is closer to our thinking. For this we have a motion. Yesh Me'ayin we don't have a motion. Dover Milei Dover we do have a motion. Okay. And even dover miloi dover is also a total novelty. It did not come about because of the loi dover, because of the parts, of the components.
This is coming as a hemship to Metzias Yesh.
This is Metzias Yesh. That's the point. That Metzias Yesh is created by a creator. It is not something that occurs through a development process.
So in this motion, we're saying that a human being could make a yesh ma'ayin with a table.
That's right.
You didn't know that, did you?
How is a human being can make yesh ma'ayin? Okay, this is a good point. And it behooves us that we should understand the human being that the RASHAB made us.
No.
The reason that we say that human being is capable of creating yesh ma'ayin is that the human being himself is a presence that is not worldly.
It is not.
Not worldly. He actually stands above the whole worldly phenomenon. I always say, give a human being everything the world can everything the world can produce. Everything.
It's not enough.
Not enough. He'd be bored stiff. And already I said that boredom is one of the most painful experiences. Boredom is real suffering. Why is boredom so suffering? Because boredom is a direct attestation that the human being doesn't have a place to be, doesn't have a purpose. A human being without a purpose is tragic. That's his whole definition of being. Raison d'être. It's interesting, I have on my phone, and occasionally they come with the dictionary words. Today it's raison d'être.
Zone dead?
Raison d'être, the reason to be.
Oh, raison d'être.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
They give you what? They
give
give
you
you
a
a
The
word.
word of
They
the
give
day
you a definition of it.
was raison
You
Yeah.
can
d'être.
ask for the division because I have a
What's
dictionary
this
on
French term? Raison
But they said
d'être.
raison d'être is a new word.
The need to
Uh-huh.
be, reason to
Okay?
be.
So
This
you
to
can
help
find
you
it.
learn. This help you learn the language, Rabbi Paltiel? They don't think you speak English well enough to your phone, huh?
That's right.
It's a smartphone.
Smartphone.
All right. All right, we're coming to
So this
To a
is what you're
statement.
always saying that Yesh Ma'ayin B'chai Kaboira, that doesn't exclude a human being.
This is why we take Yesh
Sorry,
Ma'ayin.
what's the question?
No, he's asking a question. Yesh Ma'ayin is a creator's capability. It is in the whole. It is in the creator's realm and not in the human being realm. All of a sudden, they're giving motion for Yesh Ma'ayin. I'm saying this is what's called a moshel. In the moshel, in the human experience, it's called dover milei dover. That's not Yesh Ma'ayin
Because there's parts.
because there's parts. But the human being brings something to it that the parts did not contain.
Just to clarify on the boredom question, it does seem like man is a sort of royalty who doesn't have to serve a function. On the other hand, it seemed like if he could not identify what he's here to do, he loses his heart.
Leave it up to Shlomo Yenison to hit the nail on the head. Here's the thing. The answer to your question is to fulfill a function means that he is not a full entity unto himself. He becomes complemented when he fulfills a certain mission. But the human being, yes, he fulfills a mission, but why, on what basis, or how come he's fulfilling a mission? Whose mission is he fulfilling?
Not his own.
His own. He was given that position in the world.
He did not a mission created by himself.
No, he didn't create himself. He was given that position in the world. He was given, the world was given to his jurisdiction. It's your world.
So this is to say a function beyond function. It's a.
That's right. Function.
It's not utilitarian. It's
You
it's
get up
divine.
in the morning. You get up in the morning and you put up a pot of coffee. Are you serving somebody or are you doing your own thing? I'm not talking in a shir, at home.
Right.
Trying to wake up to come to this year.
It's not about the coffee.
What?
It's not about the coffee. It's not about the coffee.
The coffee. Right? You get up in the morning, get dressed. You get dressed royally. Really, royally. What? Why? Because you are a royal entity.
What?
Royal entity.
Very common expression, everybody knows it, everybody should reflect on it. Self-respect. This is even from self-respect is an important principle in human life. It is not stupid, respect yourself. It is respecting your creator. If you don't have self-respect, you have lost sense of who you are in reality. You are a guest in somebody's home. You are a Muslim, don't milli double, right? A guest in somebody's home, and you're served lunch. I'm not going to eat it. I'm finding his coffee. I'm not going to eat it.
This is the time to probably stop it.
Who are you insulting? Your host. This is not a stance of purity, it's a sense of stupidity.
So self-respect is not really respect for self.
Respect for yourself on the basis of the one who provides that respect.
Not respecting your taste buds.
All right. Shall we make it to the next statement over here, or will not? Will not.
The next statement